Happy Movement Monday, Mob. This week I have another hip mobility routine since a lot of you tend to love the hip mobility routines. I'm going to share with you a couple of my go-to moves to do before a lower body day at the gym. So for move number one, we're going to be in a 90-90 position where our knees and our hips are at a 90-degree angle from our torso. And for this first move, we're going to be in a high oblique sit position where I use my hand for support. If this is pinchy for you, you can go into what we call a low oblique sit position from the forearm. But from here, we're just going to be doing some high oblique hinges. So I'm going to think of proud chest, lean it forward till I feel a big stretch on the back side of this glute here. Then I'm going to drive my shin and knee into the ground to bring my torso back up. For this side, I'm going to do a solid 5-6 reps. If you're really tight, you can do as much as 10, but I already did a whole mobility routine at the gym earlier today, so I'm not feeling that tight. But of course, if you have more tension, by all means, you can always do more and just listen to your body. If you need more, then give it more. So with each rep, I'm trying to go further and I'm really driving that shin into the ground to get a nice active release here. So I'm going to do one more here, drive my upper body up, and then I'll show my right side from the side view where I'm in this 90-90 high oblique sit. Again, if you need to, you can go low oblique sit. We're going to hinge forward. You can see I'm proud chest. I'm not rounding forward because you're just cheating through the spine. Hinge until you feel that stretch, drive into the ground, one rep here, and then if you know me by now, you're just trying to go a little bit further each time. So again, listen to your body, don't force through any pain or discomfort. We always just like to go up to that tension, and then as we start to do more, it should start to loosen up. And that's that nice green light that I always talk about. If it gets easier with each rep, that means your body's craving it, but sometimes you just don't want to go 0 to 100 because it can actually start to spasm and tighten up on you. So we'll do my last one here. Ooh, I already feel some warmth in the backside of my hips here. So now I'm going to go back to my left side, and we're going to try to stay upright this time. So if you need to use your hand for support, you can. But now we're going to do a hinge until I feel a good stretch. Again, luckily we pre-loosened this with the last move. Then I'm going to drive into the ground to rotate into this back hip. So this leg staying planted, I'm getting external rotation on the front side, and then I'm driving into that internal rotation on the back side, and we're going to do a good 5 to 6 here. So this way we can be super efficient and loosen up both hips with one movement here. And for a lot of you, if you don't work internal rotation range, which would be this part of the movement here, you might feel a pinch or a poke. Just touch it, and then as you rep it out, you want to see if you can start to go further into those ranges. Let's do one more on this side. Rotate into it. Nice, I felt like I was getting looser with each repetition. That's exactly what we're looking for. And then you guessed it, we're going over to the other side. So hinge, drive, use that momentum to rotate into that back hip. Like I mentioned already, if it's too difficult, you can simply support your upper body with your hand on the ground and then rotate into that side. Nice, starting to go further, really trying to get into that stickiness in the hip. Again, I don't feel any pain here, I feel tension. Tension's okay, but if you feel pain or pinching, smooch it, and then come back. Live to fight another day. As you practice this, it'll start to open up more and more. So we really open up external rotation. We start to work into that internal rotation. Now we're gonna work both at the same time. So now we're gonna do some 90-90 hip transitions. So if I'm starting in this tall sitting position, I'm gonna rotate to one side, have a 90-90 here, hinge, and then I'm going to use the momentum I'm driving into the ground to then rotate to the other side. And then I'm just going to simply repeat rotating back and forth. Now I'm going no hands here. This is a little bit more advanced. If you need to, just support yourself as you transition to the other side. So if you have a lot of tension, think of doing 3 or 4 of these using hand support, and then when it gets easier and it feels smoother getting into that rotation in the hip, then advance it to the no hands. And this way We can get dynamic. We're loosening up the tissues, but also getting the heart rate up a little bit at the same time. So this should feel more like an exercise, but you're gonna feel like you just stretch out your hips even more afterwards. Then I do a good 5 to 6, and then there you have it. 3 moves, and we worked more in that 90-90 position, which is really good for working on hip rotation. A lot of times we just focus on the external rotation, which is important because we're flexion dominant creatures, so we're sitting down, we get a lot of tension in the backside of the hips, but we don't want to neglect that internal rotation. And then the last move, we're getting both internal rotation and external rotation at the same time. Like I said, efficiency. You don't need much time to do mobility training. As long as it's intentional and you know why you're doing it, then you're gonna start to see really good results as you start to do this day by day. Speaking of, if you want daily mobility routines, then you need to check out my Mobility Suite app, where I have daily mobility and core training so we can mobilize from head to toe, but also stabilize so then we can dominate our workouts or our everyday activities. Until next week, mob, keep it moving.